Hi, I'm going to show you how you can adapt your bodice front block to create a pattern style with a V-neck. You'll end up with a pattern piece that should look like this, with a V-neck and the bust dart moved into the underarm position. You can see some examples of V-neck garments here. And I'll show you how you can create a pattern for one. We'll start by tracing the block and pivoting this bust dart into the underarm position. I'm going to ignore this waist shaping here and the lower section of the block. To begin, I need to decide where to put my new dart. I've marked here the position of my new dart. I'll start tracing the block, starting from the right hand leg of the dart up here, around the neckline, coming across at the waist, ignoring the waist shaping and continuing until I get to my new dart position here. Then I'll close this dart here, put your pencil into the bust point, then pivot the dart so the left leg matches to the right leg, closing that up until you see the marker inside that notch. Then continue drawing around the block from your marker here. Usually I'd shorten the dart, but I've got something to do before I make that change, so I'll draw in the dart as it is up to the bust point. You might find it useful if you've marked where the bust line is onto the pattern. I want to make the V quite deep, and I'll use this bust line marker here as a guide, and I'll measure 1 centimetre above that and then join a line from slightly inside of the neck point, so I'm shortening the shoulder just a touch and drawing down to my new marker. This section of the pattern will be removed. If I were to just leave my pattern like this and then reduce the length of the dart, this pattern piece would work, but what you'd find is this section here has a tendency to gape, and so to fix the gaping we're going to add in an extra dart in this section here. Now this dart in full scale is quite small, approximately 0.6 centimetres, so it really is quite tiny in half scale. So I'll mark in quite close to the tip of the V here, probably measuring, if I measure on my block here, I'm going to be about 3 centimetres up from my point, and I'm going to mark in a dart that's 3 millimetres or 0.3 centimetres wide. And then I join those points up to the bust tip here. And I need to cut this out, close up this section here, which will open up this dart a little bit, and that will create my pattern. First I'll cut this out. I've cut out to this point, and I need to close this dart now. Because this dart will open up, I'll cut a line through the middle of it up to the bust point. And then I'm going to close this dart here by just folding along one of the legs and bringing it over to match the other one. So that's caused this underarm dart here just to open up a touch, and it's also given me a slightly crooked edge along here. At this stage I'm ready to trace the pattern piece, and as I trace the piece I'm going to correct this line here and drawing up to the edge of the block. At this stage I need to shorten this dart. To do that I need to move this point back by 1 centimetre. So in full scale it would be shortened by 2 centimetres. Find the centre point between the legs of the dart and then use that centre point as a guide to measure back your 1 centimetre to get your new dart tip, and then join that up to the ends of the dart legs. I'm going to add 1 centimetre of seam allowance to my pattern and then put on all the markings that I need. To finish, I'll cut out my pattern piece and I'll show you how you can make sure you cut this section out correctly. I'm just going to cut across the bottom, around the sides, and then leave this section uncut for now. To cut this part here out correctly, close up the dart. Fold along the lower leg and then bring that to match with the other leg. With that dart closed, now cut along that seam allowance line, cut through the folded section and continue cutting out. Now when that opens up, that's the amount of seam allowance I'll need in the dart section, so it will sit flat and flush to the raw edges once the dart's sewn. And that's my finished pattern piece.